So as you're, I don't know what, am I on?
Test.
Really? Okay. I'll do a drawing. Barely on, barely.
Not even there.
Test. So folks, as you're finding your seats, two little notes. One is that the clergy team are sort of a pod. So when we were up here behind the plexiglass, which makes me think of hockey games, I don't know why, but we'll be unmasked, but we're going to put our masks on. And of course, everybody in the sanctuary, please, the masks stay on because we love each other and want to protect one another and ourselves. And I think we're ready for our cello prelude. Reb Simcha Bunam's teaching guides our gathering of spirit. Everyone he taught must remember they have two pockets, and in each one, a note. In one pocket is the note, "For my sake was the world created." In the other pocket, the note reminds, "I am but dust and ashes." Reb Simcha would add, "So must we know when to reach into which pocket." We come to this Kol Nidrei moment broken, yet blessed, contrite in spirit and hopeful of heart, knowing we've made mistakes, yet feeling we've done much good, aware there were moments we felt lost, but this night we feel newly found. So our prayer is for the renewal that comes from living out that sacred balance, forgiving others as we forgive ourselves, linked in common purpose, yet aware of the gifts we uniquely bring, standing in spiritual solidarity, yet somehow alone before the Holy One, bound by our collective hope, yet harboring inside a prayer all our own. So may our humility be a pathway to holiness, leading this new year to life renewal, enabling us to navigate life's ups and downs, its twists and turns, always knowing which is the right pocket.
Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to what you are, return to who you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul.
With all of the adversity we are facing, the struggle we continue to bear, the fear we feel, just looking at the world, there's no more powerful way to dispel that darkness than by kindling light.
Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, teaching us holiness through sacred obligations, giving us the mitzvah of bringing light on Yom Kippur.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav,
Blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, giving us life, upholding the life within us, and bringing us to this time.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'eleyanu v'kiyemanu v'hi
light is sown for the righteous, gladness for the upright in heart.
Or zaru ala tzadik, or zaru ala tzadik, ule yishrelev, ule yishrelev, ule yishrelev simcha. Or zaru ala tzadik, or zaru ala tzadik, ule yishrelev, ule yishrelev, ule yishrelev simcha. Beshiva Shemana, Beshiva Shemata, Beshiva Shemana, Beshiva Shemata.
One voice, assembled sages past and present declare, all may pray as one on this night of repentance. Let none be excluded from our community of prayer. With one voice, God and congregation proclaim, all may pray as one on this day of return. Let all find a place in this sacred assembly.
Kol Nidrei ve'yasarei v'acharmei v'konomei
of page 4. Day and night are yours, creative spirit of the universe. The muted colors of twilight, the radiance of dawn, yours are the spreading wings of light, the deepening shadows of darkness and ever-changing drama. In the human heart, too, the struggle between darkness and light unfolds. From sunlit heights of generosity, the human heart sinks to the gloomy depths of selfishness. Although we fall, you give us the strength to rise again. You call on those who hurt through word or deed to break free from wrongdoing and return to you. All who hear your call to goodness are embraced. All who reject emptiness and evil find acceptance from you. We come into your presence this night of Kol Nidrei, aware that our shortcomings and weaknesses are many, yet encouraged by your promise of forgiveness, we choose freely the path of repentance, restoring wholeness to our lives and holiness to the world. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, creator of twilight and dusk.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Keror Malchuto Leolam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשיטתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We are Israel, a people of God, the giver of life who would not let our feet give way, the maker of miracles for us against Pharaoh, of signs and portents in the land of Egypt, the one who brought our people Israel from its midst to enduring freedom. Witnesses to this heroic might, the people thanked and praised God by name, freely accepting the reign of heaven. Then Moses and Miriam and all Israel sang to you this song of utter joy. When fears multiply and danger threatens, when sickness comes, when death confronts us, it is God's blessing of shalom that sustains us and upholds us, lightening our burden, dispelling our worry, restoring our strength, renewing our hope, reviving us.
Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleim ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom.
Together. Tefillah is a journey from the God of the ancients to my rock and my redeemer. On most nights you stand on the holy summit of Tefillah and see before you a land that calls out for redemption, for healing, for peace, a world that needs you. Kol Nidrei is different. Tefillah tonight is an inward journey that takes you deep within yourself, pierces you to the core. You stand on the holy summit of this tefillah and see before you the land within, a weary soul yearning to be forgiven, longing to be loved. Remember us for life, sovereign God who treasures life. Inscribe us in the book of life for your sake, God of life. These are the moments for that inward journey, to actually hear voices. The voices most of the year, most every other day, we drown out with too many things to do, too many things that we squeeze into our day. But this is the moment to actually hear them. The voice inside, whispering about who you can be and what you need to become, about the things you usually don't acknowledge, but on this special day, this most sacred day, you need to hear. So take a minute. If you want to close your eyes, you can, and listen to the voice speaking from inside. Let Welsh poet David Whyte's insight frame our path to personal and communal confession. The poet writes, "Confession is a stripping away of protection, the telling of a truth which once we might have seemed like a humiliation, but has suddenly become a gateway, an entrance to solid ground, even a first step home. To confess is to free oneself, not only by admitting sin or an omission, but to profess a deeper allegiance, a greater dedication to something beyond the mere threat of punishment. To confess is to declare oneself ready for a more courageous road. To confess is not only to acknowledge a truth we have kept from ourselves, but a hopeful dedication to a larger power that might make us powerless to commit that selfsame sin again." We rise for our vidui. Together. Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence. And when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong.
Ashamnu, Agadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu Dofi, Evinu, Virshanu, Continue responsively on page 11. For these sins, our God, we ask forgiveness. Al chet shachatanu lefanecha, the ways we have wronged you deliberately and by mistake, and harm we have caused in your world through the words of our mouths.
The ways we have wronged you by hardening our hearts, and harm we have caused in your world through careless speech.
The ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world through gossip and rumor.
The ways we have wronged you by judging us unfairly, and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect and kindness.
The ways we have wronged you through insincere apologies, and harm we have caused in your world by mistreating a friend or neighbor. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement.
Ve'al offer its own vidui for what might it most need to confess. Let the responses of our LTers frame your prayerful consideration. You may be seated.
These past 18 months, I've been up a lot. Not late at night, but in the early morning hours. It's 2:36 a.m. as my head springs off the pillow. I look around the bedroom, reassuring myself it's just a dream, or actually a nightmare. That's where the trouble starts. I lie back down, but all I can picture is the worst thing happening in the world. Images of biblical proportions. Floodwaters rising, engulfing whole communities in their wake, our own included. Wildfires raging, devouring endless acres of forest, countless homes, the Taliban driving victoriously through the streets of Kabul. I see hungry children sitting in their mothers' laps. I vow for the umpteenth time not to watch the news right before I go to bed. Oh, and did I forget to mention the pandemic? With all we face, our physical well-being this past year and a half has been all-encompassing, paramount. Yet preserving it has come with a cost. The mental health crisis brought on by these pandemic times is pervasive, due in part to the on-again, off-again rise of infections and hospitalizations. What we thought on Memorial Day might be the beginning of the virus's end seems now but a resurgence on a much longer road to recovery. This lack of a clearly demarcated fresh start leaves us not alone physically fatigued, but emotionally exhausted, up at all hours, wondering about the state of our world. In a word, we're anxious. Near midsummer data shows that over 40% of American adults have reported adverse mental health effects. A San Francisco child psychiatrist recently described this past year and a half as an avalanche of severely depressed and anxious children. With psychologists and therapists, especially for kids, harder to come by, and the ever-increasing need, researchers have dubbed the disorder COVID-19 anxiety syndrome. Since we've all been feeling it, living it, it's no big surprise. With the world beyond our control, how can we help but feel anxious? And though those among us who've suffered from clinical depression and anxiety understand how severe the impact can be and know well the importance of treating it with medical professional support, this pandemic and the times in which we live have given rise to a non-clinical, yet for many, overwhelming feeling, a kind of collective anxiety. With stress, the state of our daily existence, the overall malaise can be tough to transcend. Recently, a swath of psychologists posited what they deemed the most successful strategies, trying to help us all worry less. The University of Leeds study, shared in a journal called Psyche, suggests 8 daily interventions for anxiety reduction. For your consideration, I boiled it down to my 5 favorites. Create a worry budget. Give yourself a daily time allotment, a limited window to worry, with a stress stopping point. Jews? Make a worries list. Like a grocery list, noting on paper your greatest life concern to make it more manageable. Aging? Aisle 7. Kids? Aisle 2. Adopt a personal mantra. I laugh when I even try to say this. Cope by saying to yourself, save it for later, Jeff. It'll all work out in the end. Try mindfulness. Turning your attention to focus on the present helps us dwell less in wondering about the past and worrying about the future. Or distraction, number 5. When stress sets in, do something. Exercise, read, listen to music. Put your brain in a better headspace. The deep irony of all these interventions is that they run counter to who we are and why we're here. Yom Kippur's chief aim, atonement, is only effectively achieved by apprehending, admitting, and confronting our anxiety, acknowledging it is real and dare not be denied. The rest of the year, we understandably employ all the stress reduction strategies at our disposal. But Yom Kippur, this holiest of day, is the ultimate in anxiety induction. In case you didn't notice the stressors, let me point them out. On this day of awe, we cut out all of life's distractions and focus in on what matters. Rather than looking out at others, we attempt to truly see ourselves, not what we look like on the outside, but who we really are inside. And it goes without saying, who we are not. The character flaws and moral failings, the shortcomings and indiscretions, regularly repressed, often ignored, are now laid bare, staring us in the face, calling out to us to undertake that intense, introspective process that leads to inner questioning, thoughtful contemplation, and to making those necessary life changes which will hopefully put us on the path to becoming our best selves. This whole experience, what Mel Brooks would undoubtedly call high anxiety. And if all that's not enough, here's the kicker. This state of self-induced anxiety is not just meant for the Atonement Day alone. In his New York Times best-selling memoir on anxiety of almost a decade ago, Monkey Mind, Daniel Smith, professor of English at the College of New Rochelle, explores the socio-historic, philosophic impact of anxiety through his own lifelong struggle. But the op-ed he penned with the book's debut poses the real question for us, entitled, "Do the Jews Own Anxiety?" Stereotypical as it may be, Professor Smith, by the way, a Jewish Smith, pointing out the famed literary figures from Tevye to Alexander Portnoy to Woody Allen's self-styled Alvy Singer, the neurotic, self-conflicted Jew, bearing a striking resemblance to anti-Semitic imagination, beneath the neuroses lies a counterintuitive truth. As Smith puts it, others may see his anxieties as a mark of inferiority, but because of them, he is the hero of the tale, the most complex, fully ensouled one in the story. And since he's defined above all else by his tendency toward anxiety, that tendency takes on the quality of a virtue. Are we meshugana to hold up such inner angst, painful, as somehow purposeful? Though no people have a monopoly, Jewish anxiety just may be woven into the very fabric of being part of this people. First, for two reasons, Smith says. First, as a Jew, you are the repository of 4,000 years of collective memory, carrying on your shoulders the hopes for our people's survival. No pressure, but you are the human bridge we must cross to make it to our people's tomorrow. And second, as Jews, we live within the question. From the rabbis of the Talmud to Jewish life today, we scrutinize and interpret. We discuss and debate. We argue and eventually agree to disagree. The spirit of our people lies in knowing there may not be a definitive answer. Ambiguity is the prism through which we perceive reality. After convincingly building his case, Professor Smith leaves us in the end more conflicted and I think more anxious than when he began. He says at the end, there's a whole history of claiming that anxiety, for all its pain, is a sign that the person who struggles with it is more alive to life's contradictions and exists in a higher state of being than those who don't. And I'm here to tell you, this is a really dangerous position to accept. To claim a person's anxiety is somehow virtuous, or to intimate that depression and other mental health challenges are desirable is ridiculous, wrong, and downright dangerous. Such clinical or psychiatric diagnosed disorders require the treatment of trained medical professionals and demand our serious attention. But so too does our spiritual state of well-being. That is, the conscious awareness of the angst we share, which makes us who we are and helps us grow into our most sacred selves, and live out our highest life purpose. 25 years ago, the great Talmudist and spiritual teacher, Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz, wrote a piece in Parabola magazine entitled "To Strive Towards Spirit." At the time, it was countercultural, if not unsettling. Most people didn't get it. Today, it underscores the spiritual anxiety that fuels our faith. As Steinsaltz says, of course, the quest for inner peace is as old as mankind itself. Nevertheless, there's room to question this pursuit of peace. A life of struggle can be relieved of pressure and anxiety, thinking we've achieved peace, yet life remains meaningless. Noting the meaning of our name, Yisrael, the sacred strugglers, Steinsaltz explains, while stress is likely to be unpleasant, as long as there is struggle, there's a chance for valuable change. No spiritual ladder can be ascended without constant striving. What this wise teacher is suggesting is our doing the daily dance, what I'd call the turmoil two-step, between the world the way it is and the way it ought to be. It is the catchphrase of these High Holy Days, which is meant for every single day. I set before you life and blessing, curse and death. Choose life. How? Steinsaltz gives us the formula. Our question should not be how to escape this perpetual struggle, but rather what form to give it. For it is a struggle in cosmic terms between chaos and creation, the choice between good and evil. But it's preceded by an even more fundamental choice, whether to give spiritual and moral expression to the contradiction inherent in being human, or to try to ignore it. Each of us must decide where to take our stand and how to fight the battle. For without inner strife, there can be no life. Looking out at all we see in this world, we cannot help but be afraid. For the state of dysfunction, for the insanity we face, for all we have to fix. But being Yisrael helps us look beyond the anxiety. The most important thing is on the other side of fear. For there, we can find a faith to forge a world we cannot yet see. I remember sitting in spiritual counseling and rabbinic school with Dean Paul Steinberg, a rabbi and psychiatrist, who taught us that our goal was to be the non-anxious presence. He said it like that, so I thought that's how rabbis talked. Be the non-anxious presence in serving our people. I nodded during class, pretending to understand, but I didn't know what it meant. My stream of consciousness went something like this. So you want us to go into the most intense, extreme, tense life moments of people's lives and to be cool as a cucumber? Really? It was Dr. Leonard Kravitz the next year who gave us the truth, me, Billy, and Richard Baroff, during our fourth-year seminar in the Guide for the Perplexed. Always spouting Yiddish phrases when he wanted to convey his kishkis. He said, rabbis can only cope by taking it to the buttons, not to the heart. We looked doubtful, as if that was even possible, and one of us whispered, how? To which Dr. Kravitz, leaning toward the three of us in a whisper, replied, you can't. And then, quoting a Yiddish proverb, he explained, if it doesn't hurt, you're not human. Our mandate seems a bit meshugana, but it makes us who we are, Yisrael, a people in perpetual life struggle. Not stressed out because we feel helpless, but wrestling with this world because we hurt, struggling because we still remain hopeful. Master teacher Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, who left us this past year, understood the uniqueness of our people's mission. For Judaism, he wrote, faith is cognitive dissonance, the discord between the world that is and the world as it ought to be. That tension, that struggle, has been the energizing mainspring of Jewish life from the time of Abraham and Sarah till today. The struggle means seeing the disparity, the insularity, the inequity, the senseless hate, the injustice. The struggle means feeling the indignity, the inhumanity, the hunger, the denial, the desperation, the hurt. The struggle means doing whatever we can, simple acts of grace and goodness, to show kindness, to connect through compassion, to stand against indifference, to celebrate difference, to lead with love. The struggle means feeling the fear, but seeing beyond it. For we do indeed have a choice: to witness the disregard, the disrepair, to face the fear denying it's there, or, anxiety-provoking as the present moment might feel, to decide courageously, defiantly, to bring light and so choose life. In the midst of the darkest night, a young psychiatrist in Vienna was studying suicidal kids and discovered that the key to helping them surmount their struggles was to empower them to find a sense of life meaning, to help them know they were part of something bigger, which brought shared purpose and collective hope. Viktor Frankl, deported soon thereafter to Auschwitz, survivor and famed author of Man's Search for Meaning, had actually written another book before the war, or at least it would have been a book. Wanting to document his theory that life meaning can help us endure virtually any hardship, Frankl wrote up his notes, all his research on transcending teen suicide, into a tight manuscript, which just before he was deported, Frankl sewed into the lining of his overcoat. After all, it was his only copy. He had to keep those notes close. Arriving in the death camp, the Nazis ordered him to remove his coat. He begged, but they tore it off him and threw it on the ash heap. All he so treasured, all his research, gone up in smoke. In its place, Frankl was given a torn and tattered old coat, the possession of a Jew who'd been sent to the gas chambers. Putting it on, Frankl found a piece of paper sewn into the inside pocket, hidden inside. It was a page torn from the prayer book, the Shema. How else could I interpret the coincidence, he later wrote, than to live what I had written, to unearth life meaning even now. That torn page remained in Frankl's pocket every day in the camps, a testament to his survival, a reminder that even with death surrounding, in the face of a world of despair, he could still find a way to choose life. We too have a prayer sewn into the lining, not of our coats, but of our spirits. A 2-word daily task, a resolution that revives us. Uvacharta b'chaim, choose life. Looking about at the chaos and confusion, a reality that brings lots of anxiety, a world so far from whole. May the spiritual angst we feel be that springboard as it helps us to live out the meaning of our name, taking on the sacred struggle every single day, hurt by the inhumanity and so moved to help. May we build a more humane and holy tomorrow, sustained by the secret, awaking in the middle of the night, fearful and anxious as we may be, we are not alone. For hope can never be lost so long as we see it, so long as we find it in one another. The most important thing is on the other side of fear. So this new year, may our struggle be for life. Amen.
most important thing is on the other side. The most important thing is on the other side. The most important thing is on the other side of fear. Kol ha'olam kulo, kol ha'olam kulo, gesher tsar me'od. Kol ha'olam kulo, kol ha'olam kulo, gesher tsar me'od. V'ha'ikar, v'ha'ikar, lo לפחד כלל. והעיקר, והעיקר, לא לפחד כלל. The most important thing is on the other side. The most important thing is on the other side. The most important thing is on the other side of fear. Kol ha'olam kulo, kol ha'olam kulo, gesher tsar me'od. Kol ha'olam kulo, kol ha'olam kulo, gesher tsar me'od.
Please rise for Avinu Malcanu on page 14. We'll read responsively. Avinu Malcanu, illumine for us the path of our life.
Avinu Malcanu,
Avinu Malcanu, how shall we come to know the purpose of our existence? Avinu Malcanu, how shall we get out of our indifference? Avinu Malcanu, how shall we find the answers to our questions? Avinu Malcanu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malcanu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malcanu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malcanu, Amol aleinu, Be'alol aleinu, B'tapeinu.
message is that we have faith in God to repair the world. However, no matter how much we believe, we cannot count on God to repair the world without us, doing what we can as helpers to achieve such changes in the world. God gives us the strength, ideals, and inspiration to help achieve the goal of world repair. What we know here at Larchmont Temple is that every effort to repair the world starts small. When the Social Action Committee is conducting the midnight run, sometimes we go out when it's raining or snowing. On those nights, we only see a handful of people rather than the hundreds we see on a warm and clear night. Yet we're never discouraged, and nor do we feel our time is wasted, for we've made life better for that handful of people. It is like the story of the child on the beach who discovers thousands of washed-up starfish, and she stops to throw some of them back. When she's told she cannot possibly make a difference for the thousands of starfish that are washed up, she picks up a starfish, throws it into the water, and says, "It made a difference to that one." We spend time here at Larchmont Temple working to make the world a more fair and equitable place through our work. It is the small steps of educating ourselves and others that we gain better understanding of how we can achieve a more just world. Our Leinu prayer for this year is that we keep our faith in the power of the universe, who is looking to us to help in the mission of repairing the world, envisioning a future world where all people are treated fairly, love one another, and have enough resources to live healthy and safe lives. Thank you on behalf of the Social Action and Social Justice Committees.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Together, may the time not be distant, our God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when lies and bigotry shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. So may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your dominion be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever.
ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. היום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו
With so much loss surrounding, our Kaddish prayer is a pledge. Join me at top 16. With loss surrounding and death pervading our lives, we stand as one, a community of memory, a congregation committed to the call of hope. When anyone dies, we are all diminished. When one family loses a father or a mother, we are all orphans of loss. So we pledge to make memory live, sharing their stories, by living out their values, by holding on to all they held dear, by holding one another up. May the light they brought continue to inspire us. Remembering all those who've been taken by this vicious virus, near 650,000 in our country alone. Remembering all those who lost their lives to violence, wars, injustice, hate, and those in our own family circles whose love still lives in our hearts. We also remember those in our LT family circle who died on Yom Kippur past. Rochel Finkelstein, Stanley Weingart, Yetta Gottesfeld, Arnold Rickler, Hilda Rosenbaum, Jean Tanny, Linda Scharf, Edward Pinsoff, Judith Rubin, Carol Lowenstein, and to be laid his eternal rest on Friday, Charles Britton. The memories of all of them are with us as we share in words of Kaddish. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach herutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon, u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mivorach, le'olam u'lomel maya, Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal, shmei d'kucha b'richu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tush berchata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen, Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu al kol Yisrael. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for blessing. Amen. Please be seated.
Shana Tova. Last week at Rosh Hashanah, I spoke about the importance of community and the support that we give to and receive from each other in celebrating joyous occasions and facing challenging times. Tonight, I would like to speak about a different kind of support that helps us create strong temple and larger local communities, financial support. I would like to start with a story of the time I met with Rabbi Serkman before accepting the nomination to become temple president. We sat in his office on each side of the coffee table, as I know many of you have. On one side sat a Red Sox fan, surrounded by Boston memorabilia, and on the other side, a lifelong Mets fan, looking for a photo of Bill Buckner. Shockingly, there was none there. We were there to speak about our visions for the temple, and we each came from a different perspective. Rabbi Serkman received his BA in religion, an MA in theology, and went on to receive his ordination from HUC. I, on the other hand, received a degree in economics and political science, and then went on to study law. Rabbi Serkman, as you know, expresses his creativity by drawing cartoons, while I grew up expressing mine with black and white photos. While Rabbi Serkman has spent more than 35 years as a rabbi, I had recently retired from practicing corporate law for over 35 years. Given our divergent backgrounds, you might have thought that we would have different visions for the temple. But as the conversation developed, we realized how similar our two visions truly were. Build a strong temple that serves all of its members, a sustainable temple that will flourish for generations to come. As you might imagine, Rabbi Serkman saw the road to that vision through the eyes of a clergy, while I saw it through the eyes of a fiduciary. He helped me understand that even if you have all the money in the world, if you do not have a covenantal community, you won't have a temple. And I explained that I saw my role as a lay leader to be a good steward of our resources, which are not unlimited, and to work with him, the other clergy, the senior staff, to balance all of the temple's competing needs so that we could best serve the entire congregation and nourish the temple for future generations. To realize our mutual vision, we need to have the best clergy and professional team to lead us spiritually and in learning. We need to engage our young families by offering a compelling nursery school program that introduces children to Jewish traditions. We need to evolve our religious school programs, B'nai Mitzvah pathways, and adult offering to meet the ever-changing needs of our members. And we need to continue to invest in our buildings, our technology, and our grounds to serve our congregation now and in the future. Dues, tuitions, and fees are very important sources of funds for the temple. But those sources are not sufficient to achieve our vision, enable the temple to provide our many services and programs, and to operate at the level you expect and deserve. Nor are they sufficient for us to meet our commitment to assure that membership is never dependent on anyone's ability to pay. So tonight, and in the letter you will be receiving from me shortly, I would like to ask you to answer this appeal and contribute to our Fair Share Kol Nidrei campaign. Your participation can go a long way in supporting the temple and helping us remain strong today and for generations to come. You don't even need to wait for my letter. Just go to the temple website to easily make your contribution. Before I end, as I did last week, I would also like to speak about the larger community that we are a part of, a community that has experienced unimaginable devastation from Hurricane Ida. I would like to thank our members, including our LARFD teams, who have been providing support for that community with contributions of goods, money, and time. I know that what I am about to ask is unusual to come from a president of the temple on Kol Nidrei, but we live in unusual times. As you sit down to make your donation to the temple, please consider at the same time also making a donation to the Community Resource Center Emergency Fund or any other fund that is supporting our neighbors as they try to recover from the floods of 2021. We are all better when we support and help create a greater community, both within our temple walls and outside them. On behalf of Larchmont Temple's officers and trustees and my family, I wish each of you a new year filled with gifts of sweetness and renewal. Shana Tova.